So in this video we're going to extend on what we did before. We're going to add into our maps showing the user's location. So I'm just going to open up the one we did in the last lesson, mapping part 1, where we loaded a Google map into a window and we got it to display. So I'll just run it and we'll have a look at what that did. That showed us the map. We were able to set the location, we were able to set the zoom, and that allowed us to see the map and see what was happening. So we went through the map and it was able to zoom in on our particular location. What we're going to do now is get it to show the user's location, wherever that is on the map. So to do that, what I'm going to do is do a separate view controller, and this just allows us later to be able to cut and paste the bits that you want. So into that view controller we're going to add a button. That will be our back button. We will segue that with our option drag, our control drag I should say, and we will show that. We're going to add another button over here and we'll call that map with location, and we will show that. Now of course whenever you add a view controller and you want to add in some code, we have to create a new file. Not a new file, we have to go to new file through that menu and we add a Cocoa Touch class. Let's call that map location view controller, and we will save it in our file. And if we go back to our storyboard, we have to assign that new view controller to the one we just created, which was our map location view controller. Now I'm just going to copy the information we took from our previous one, which was our, map view controller, and we will just take all of this and we will copy it into our view did load. We of course you'll see a lot of errors coming up because we need to add in some more very important things. They are the actual map view in our storyboard. Remember with this one we've got our map view there. We haven't added it in here, so we need to go to our objects library, type in map, and we get our map view. We'll drag that across. We'll make it go down to the bottom, and of course we need to assign that to our view class. So we want not our map view class, just remember to check you're doing the right one. You want to go to the map location and we want to control drag across. Now you'll notice that it's not highlighting. That usually means that we haven't got it connected to the right area. So we just need to make sure that's there. And there we go, we can actually click that in. We just need to make sure it's up high enough, so we go above that. And we'll call it my map again, just to be consistent. And it means those other areas are in there. So what we also want to do is create and you'll see these errors because we haven't added into this our UI location manager. Where are we? Try that again. We will just... So you can see that we've got these errors here, and that's because we haven't added our import map kit. We need to do that each time to actually get capital M, to get all of those functions we were calling before. Now we have to add another thing to our map location view controller, and this is a part that allows us to access the location. So we need to add in something called the CLL Location Manager Delegate. So we add that in. That will then allow us to create this thing called a CL Location Manager, which allows us to access the location of the current iPhone or whatever device they're using. So now we've got that, we can add a few more bits and pieces in. So I'm just going to stick these in here. We need to first of all create a variable up the top. We're going to call it variable. We're going to call this our manager, and it's going to be of type CL Location Manager. Not a delegate this time, just manager. And we're going to force it there with that exclamation mark. That's important that that's there, so just make sure that exclamation mark goes in. Then in our view did load section, we're going to add in some more code which allows us to manipulate this thing that we've just created, this CL Location Manager. So we're going to say manager equals CL Location Manager. We're then going to go, oops, that would help if I manager equals. Let's just try that one again. CL Location Manager, that's what we want. And you can tell it's gone correct because those colors have changed. That's an indication that it has recognized that this is a method. Now we're going to start using this. So we've got our manager. If you hit dot, it will open up all the methods that this thing can call. And the first one we're going to call is delegate. And we're going to set the delegate equal to self. Then we're going to set the desired, how accurate we want our GPS location to be. So that is our desired accuracy. We're going to set that to, it's another odd one, but KCL location accuracy. And you can see this coming up just down here. We want it to be the best, and that will just help it get the best accuracy it can during that time. Then we're going to set manager dot request when in use authorization. Now what that does is it will ask the user of the app, is it okay if I get your location? The way Apple's work is they won't allow you to get that app, location without permission from the user. So it's a very important thing, and we need to add another few lines in a bit later on to make sure that works. Then we're going to manager dot start updating location, and that just starts getting the GPS locations that we need. And that's really the first part of our code. What we want to do is go back to our main storyboard. Let's bring that to a whole view. And we might add in another button here. And this button might be show location. And again, whenever you do that, you need to actually connect it to our view controller. So what we do, control drag, and drop this in. We want this to be an action, so to respond to a click, and we'll call it show. And this is where we write in all the information we want to do when we hear this button clicked. And this is actually straightforward. What we want to do is we want to access our manager, which is what we created up there. And we want to, again, just request when in use authorization to make sure that we have done that, because remember, nothing will happen unless the user gives permission. And then we want to go my map dot show user's location equals true. And that's really as simple as it is. This will mean that if the user's location is in the field of the current map, it will show where it is. If that person is not in the map though, it will show nothing, so just be aware of that. Now we do have to do another couple of things before this will work. This is the first time we've done it, so what we've got to do is go over to this thing called info plist. Make sure you're in the first one. This can cause errors if you go to the wrong one. So if you look at these other ones, they also have info plists. You want to make sure that you're in the one that's labeled whatever you've called your project. In this case it was map, so it's just map. Don't do map tests or map UI tests. That will cause issues later on, and we'll look at debugging a bit later on. But what we want to do is we want to click onto that, and there's a whole lot of random bits and pieces that we haven't looked at before. We've got to add 2 of these in, so I'll just show you what they are. To do that, if you scroll over, you'll see a plus and a minus here. If you hit a plus, it adds an extra line in, and we can start typing in what we want to type in. Okay, so we are going to type in 2 new categories. The first one's going to be NS location always usage description. It's really important that we get that exactly right, otherwise it won't run. Over on the right hand side, we'll just ask a question of the user. So for example, can I access your location? We're going to add in another one, which is the one we call in this case NS location when in use usage description. And we'll ask another question like, I need access to your location. And these will be the things that pop up to the user saying, can I access your location for this app? Now before we build, we just want to go back to our main storyboard. And sometimes when you build, particularly when you stick a button over on the right hand side, it won't actually be there. I'll just show you what that looks like when it does build, and then I'll show you how you can fix it very quickly. So when we click on our button, you'll see it's too far over on the right and we actually can't see it. So what we need to do is set some attributes or lock it in place. The way we do that is click on your button, hit your control key and drag it to the side and release. And this top line here, trailing space to contain a margin, just means set it with that much of a gap to that right hand edge. And we might also do it to the top. So control drag, this time it's a vertical spacing to top line. And that just means that it will lock that in place. So let's see if we run it this time. Hopefully we should be able to see our button. So we'll click on our map, and now our button's accessible. We will click show location, but it didn't ask me for permission, so I still don't think it's going to run. But it did, so there we go. It must have been previously saved. Usually you'll get a black screen popping up, but there's our location. You might have noticed that it didn't actually appear on the map to begin with. If you're not in the vicinity of the map, you won't get any error message. It will just not display anything. So make sure you're in the map. Now when you're using the simulator, you'll need to set that. If you go to debug and you go to location, if you don't set any location, it will just set it as Apple's office. But you can set custom location, and you can put in your own longitude and latitude and make sure that is on the map that you've created. And then you should get your location appearing on your map. Now I thought I'd just show you one more thing, because the actual prompt didn't come up because I had run this before in the app. What you can do is go to Simulator and you can go Reset Content and Settings, hit Reset, and that just clears all the cached memory from the simulator. So when we run it again, what we should do is get the question being prompted to the user as it would the first time the app is run. Okay, so it's loaded. When we click this, we get this prompt, which is what we typed in before. Allow map to access your location while in the use of the app. And this was the question we asked. I need access to your location. Again, you can edit that to whatever you want. Click allow, and then we hit show location. It should appear. Remember, it's just off the side of this map, but you can set the location using the location setting. You also have some programmed in ones where you've got a city bike ride, a city run and a freeway drive, which have movement of the location. All of those are options in the simulator. So that's how you add your location to the map. And again, like normal Google Maps, you can move around using your pinch, which is your control. You can zoom out or zoom in. So that is Maps Part 2.